highway and you're within 30 miles of a hardware store or something, then you come to the conclusion that you have to go there. I have problems with corporations who, and we all know the Walmart story. They give the executives and the credit for being intelligent in the fact, and I'm not agreeing with what they do. You know, the part-time status of millions and millions, thousands of people, they don't get medical coverage, they don't get this, they don't get that, they're working for minimum wage. Walmart says we got the lowest prices in town, and my response is, well, yeah, I know you should have the lowest prices in town, because you're not paying wages.
Right. Well, a lot of those companies as well, whether it be Walmart or my sister-in-law works for Michael's, and they will essentially work them 38 hours or whatever it is, the maximum that they can work without having to give them benefits. You know, they play the game, and no matter.
Well, the problem is, I have, you know, and here again, middle of the road, I look at both sides of the story, but the intentions of big corporations taking advantage, not breaking the laws, but taking advantage of the loopholes or the laws themselves. That's fine, but then, you know, it's almost then you get into morality, and that's where they cross the line. I'm not saying everybody, and then they say, well, we're in business for our stockholders.
And by law, they have to. You know.
Yes. Well, I understand that, but see, it's the old, and I don't care if you have 2 employees or 2,000 employees. Who's in charge? Who is dictating policy? Who's watching out for the working person? My theory is you treat them right, you pay them as possibly as good as you can, you provide benefits, and hopefully those people will be most appreciative and return unto the company or the individual or whoever it might be good work, a dedicated work, and good work product. So I'm all for taking care of people. Now, if they screw up and you're paying them for 40 and they're giving you 10, I got all that and I understand all that. There's always requirements and rules that everyone has to abide by. But corporate America, and here again, as I said, much of what they do is good. Some of what they do, I don't agree with.
You know, part of this Occupy movement, you see in the news where, you know, we're using computers and we're using this and we're using that, and bad corporations. And I don't think, at least in my view, it's not about corporations. Corporations do bring a lot of good things to people's lives. They have, you know, improved society. But let me give you an example. You have Highmark Healthcare. This is a not-for-profit organization on paper. The CEO makes approximately $1,800 an hour. They just fired and laid off 100 Pittsburgh employees, high-tech jobs, outsourced their jobs to India. Mm-hmm. What do you do in a situation like that, where, you know, it's capitalism? The board essentially says, this is what this individual is worth. And then if you go to Aetna, that guy's making, you know, the CEO's making upwards of $10,000 an hour. And our health...
UPMC, only to respond to UPMC because you brought it up. They're just way out of control. What they do and why they do it for profit. What they do is to create profit. And they just have gotten way out of hand with, we'll refer to it as arrogance, perhaps. The moving of jobs outside this country, I just can't stand it. It just annoys the crap out of me. And what's going on now with Highmark and UPMC has nothing to do with healthcare and everything to do with money. Period. So I'm working on some. it's funny you should be here today because I got the information yesterday, and I'm going to be working on it, and it'll take a couple months. What's wrong with if you have health care, I have health care, and the deductible will say is $1,000, and you need, or I need, or my kids need a tonsillectomy? Why, if the gasoline station have to post their prices, why don't the hospitals have to post their prices? I need a tonsillectomy or something, and I know what my deductible is. It's $1,000. So obviously I'm concerned about any additional cost or whatever. So I look up St. Clair Hospital, and one day tonsillectomy, whatever, I figure out I'm going to owe $500. Maybe someplace else I would owe $320. What's their cost? I mean, we don't know that going in.
Right.
But I do if I drive right next door here and pull in that gasoline station, I know what it costs a gallon. So the point is, and here again, this is in its infancy, and I have to expound upon this and get legislation. But that puts choice back into healthcare.
I think part of the problem there would be you have, people that have HMOs or PPOs, and depending on the hospital that's in their group, and
so
you're sitting there looking at
wouldn't work all the time, but it would. Let me tell you my goal. Are we recording this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My goal would be, since you're recording, I'll be politically correct. My goal would be to hopefully bring this to the public's light, that the health care, those that provide health care insurance, it might annoy them. Thereby, you know how it is. You annoy somebody, sometimes adjustments are made. And they say, well, this plan's not going to work, but you're really annoying me here, Well, fine, you accomplish something just by the mere annoying, and perhaps maybe you'll be influential. So anyway, there's things that have to be done, and in Harrisburg, I know the Allegheny County Caucus delegation has been extremely active in this. We've written letters to all the entities in UPMC and Highmark trying to be influential. And to date, as we sit here to date, I think that the interesting thing is that the response has been insignificant, and I think we represent the people. We're looking out for the people's best interest because we are elected, and when we try to be influential in cases like this, and those that are in charge of those entities don't pay any attention to us, we got a problem. Now, is there anything legally we can do? We're trying to be an influence and bring these two together for further discussion to reach some sort of a viable conclusion. And to date, none of that's happening. Have you read about any viable conclusions? Have you heard anybody about meetings that might be acceptable or even cordial?
No, obviously not. And it upsets a lot of people who have health insurance.
Oh, absolutely, because the biggest fear is, especially with the elderly, not particularly elderly, but everyone, but especially them, is in all this arguing of these carriers, then the people who have are covered by these people become insecure. They have no idea what's going on. They don't get it because it's just too complicated to figure out, and so they're threatened. Am I going to lose my health care? And so now we get another fear involved, another apprehension involved, and now you have to consider that and hopefully calm the storm. But for every action there's a reaction, and I think that sometimes those that are creating the action don't give a dang what the reaction is, and that's unfortunate.
I have to say, because that's actually has affected me personally. Our insurance is with Highmark. My daughter has type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
Now I understand that with Children's Hospital, that's actually on a separate contract. And luckily, it doesn't expire until I believe a year after my daughter, turns 18 and
Sure.
Moves on. But I have plenty of neighbors that have insurance with them, and they're scared. They don't know. They're afraid. They're seeing inflation basically just eat away at their
Sure.
the funds that they have. They've seen the market basically collapse. A lot
And
of
when
them,
I mentioned $1,000 deductible, I mean, can you imagine 10 or 15 years ago, us sitting here talking about $1,000 deductible, and that would sound so far-fetched 15, 20 years ago, $1,000 deductible. It's a fact now. There are folks that have $1,000 deductible.
and most people today, are living paycheck to paycheck. So that $1,000 is a huge amount. I mean,
Right.
when you come to think about it, that's almost $100 a month. And for a lot of people, that's a week's worth of food.
Could be 2 months' rent. Could be so many things.
Absolutely. But getting back to the actual movement,
Okay.
what do you think about the general Occupy, Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Pittsburgh movement? Have you been down to?
No, I haven't. To date, I watched on television last night what was happening in Oakland, California, and I have to tell you, it distresses me in any movement when there's destruction, defacing, destroying, devastation. I think there's means. I'm all for people presenting a organized, calm, influential demonstration, a reaction to anything. This is democracy, and we have that right. When any action gets into destruction, defacing, and destroying private property, I got a problem with that.
And I would absolutely agree with you. That's one of the things here in Occupy Pittsburgh where we did have a statement of nonviolence, and there is a set of rules that everybody did agree on.
Yeah.
Now, there is argument that it wasn't or may not have actually been the protesters.
Well, yeah, and I'm always cognizant of that. However, when the news media or by just word of mouth says Group X was in downtown Pittsburgh and there was breaking of windows, it may not have been anybody who belongs to the organization or who was there legitimately protesting. Unfortunately, whoever it is, whatever organization it is, they're going to take the blame.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how you stop that or control that or govern that, but and I understand that there you could have 2,000 people. They're just honestly protesting under the Constitution of the United States. Then 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 people show up, and all of a sudden there's a rock through somebody's window, and everybody goes ballistic. And that group, no matter who they are, is going to take the blame. So yeah, those things happen. And but when you see it on TV, the fires, the police, the riot gear, and they say it's because Joe Blow was protesting with this group over bad apples or whatever the case might be. Unfortunately, they're going to take the blame. But anyway, generally speaking, I don't know how any group controls those negative reactions, but anyway, everyone has a right to protest under a guideline in the Constitution. When it comes to destroying or harming or whatever, I draw the line there, as I'm sure, as you indicated, you do also.
Absolutely. One of the things in our group is that if we do see an individual do that, let's say we're on a march, first thing that we're going to do is separate ourselves from those individuals or videotape them, and assist the police in making sure that they're
Because it's mandatory you do, because you don't want to take the bad rap.
Absolutely. Do you have any comments to the people of Millen Green here as far as either in support or any statements as far as?
I'm supportive of everyone demonstrating and experiencing their constitutional rights. As far as the corporations are concerned, we all have our problems with them. However, I don't know. This is to make a broad statement on that is somewhat disconcerting, I think, because if we're dealing with corporations, you almost have to do it on a one-on-one basis. Company A, Company B, to say they're all bad, they're all become too influential. I find it difficult to make a general statement about all of them or the situation.
And I would agree with you on anything. It's very difficult to make a blanket statement.
Right.
I just feel the general sentiment right now is that certain corporations or corporations in general do have too much power. They've taken really the power away from the people. I'm sitting down here with you, but do I have a chance of actually sitting down with a federal, a federal representative? I mean, you even laugh at that because you know that.
Well, I'm smiling because I do know this. Your chances of seeing a state representative face-to-face are far better than you sitting down with a federally elected official face-to-face. Now, they could say, well, their territories are 20 times as big and they're in, and I understand all that. But the fact is, people walk in this office every day. My constituents, we try to solve problems. When I'm not in Harrisburg or not I'm back here, if I'm not at meetings, I'm in this office. So you get a chance to see me face to face and say hello. I would have to believe that in a federal setting, you'd more likely end up with a staff person.
I would agree.
I only represent 65,000 people. In the congressional district, there's many, many times that. So there may be reasons why, but I like the one-on-one thing. I'd rather hear from you than get an email from you.
And I've heard that
and over again. The conversation could be identical. But when you're sitting here face to face, I see you smile, you see me smile. Body language indicates what I'm saying, although it all is truthful. If I'm kidding, if I'm not kidding, we're making jest of a particular thing or the seriousness of how I react. And I just enjoy being eyeball to eyeball with people.
It's funny, I've spoken with a number of representatives so far, and they all say the same thing. And I honestly, I've been surprised at the ease of getting, in contact with.
Well, it's what we do. And like, whether it's your movement or who we are or who you are, we all get bad raps for a variety of reasons. But most of the time, as far as the state officials are concerned, I think they're very dedicated, honest, hardworking people. This is what we do. We represent. I'm not there to influence government to what I think. I'm there to influence government for those that I represent. And how do we do that? We take polls, we talk to people, we go to a variety of meetings in our district, and we get a sense of, on any subject, some things, depending upon the degree of difficulty, people don't have any opinion of. It's insignificant in our lives. But on the serious, more controversial items, talking to people, being with people, going out in the district, having people come in here, we get a pretty good perception of how our people feel. Our job is to take that and relate it into Harrisburg. I don't go there voting how Harry feels. I voted on things that, given the opportunity, if this was all about Harry, I would have voted another way. I'm elected to represent, and representative to the General Assembly. That's who I am, what we are, and that's our obligation. And I swear to uphold the Constitution, United States Constitution, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So as far as anybody demonstrating As long as it's legal, lawful, no destruction, that is their right.
Now, as far as being a representative to the people, one of the things in researching I came across, some of your main contributors over the years since you've been elected has been PNC Bank, Progressive Leadership, which they've actually given a lot of money to a lot of different people. Mellon Bank, National City Bank, White Rose Political Action Committee, Highmark has given money to your campaigns. Eckert, Siemens, Sharon, and Merlot. And it's not just you, it's basically every representative. You know, when I go back and I look at the campaign finances, it's businesses, organizations, political action committees, and very few, or generally between 30%, 35%, is actually coming directly from the constituents, where it seems like the numbers, you know, somewhere between 60 and 70% of campaigns are being funded by these large corporations, political action committees. And if you follow the money, it actually seems to almost be bounced back and forth. You have, like with the committee to elect Dave Mayernick, actually donated to your campaign. Mm-hmm. So here you have a political action committee that is basically to elect another individual, but they're taking their funds and giving them to you. Can you explain in more detail how that works, why that's done?
We have fundraisers. We appeal to everybody. You know, when my last fundraiser, I must have sent out, I don't know, this is an actual count, but I'm sure there was probably between 300 to 400 invitations, basically sent to the world, in hopes of raising funds. Some respond, some don't respond. Here in Allegheny County, which I'm sure, whether it's the law firms that you indicated or so many others, we're more apt to get contributions and, you know, support. Case in point, a gentleman who ran for the governor, he was for vouchers. He did not win, Senator Tony Williams. I forget the number, but it was a huge amount of money he got from, you know, private schools, those who wanted him. He had said he was for vouchers. See, I don't believe that who I get money from influences my vote. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And I think any veteran elected official, no matter what level you're at, the unions, for example, I'm sure you see some of them have donated. I am pro-worker. They support me. I am pro-life. I'm sure there's groups of pro-life you'll find that given to me. Second Amendment guy. So you have gun groups donating to me. So they pick and choose. Often it's not an elected official saying, hey, if you give to me, I'll do what you want or I'll listen to you. Often these people look at voting records, as I'm sure you have, and they say, this person's an ally, so we'll assist them. I don't really, at the state level, seeing anybody. First, they find out who the candidate or who the incumbent is, what they stand for. I mean, I've been there for 17 years. I think anybody in Harrisburg, whether they're lobbyists or not, excuse me, know who I am, what I am, and have my voting record. There's lobbyists in Harrisburg on issues won't even come to see me because they know where I'm going to be. And it's not to their benefit to talk to me. We're cordial, but, you know, on this piece of legislation, they're not going to discuss it with me. So I don't see that as a deterrent. You know, it costs I'm talking about the representative level. I don't know about the Senate level or the congressional level. I spend approximately between $20,000 and $25,000 a year taking out ads, helping nonprofits, helping baseball groups, churches that have activities such as, you know, bingos and things like that. They sell ads for. So it costs that much to return to your district. And obviously, we have to get it somewhere. And I cannot go in my district to say to my constituents, I'm going to have a fundraiser. Can you all buy a ticket for $20? $20 nowadays is a whole lot of money to a whole lot of people. And why should you give it to Readshaw? So I don't dwell upon my constituents supporting my candidacy.
I think it's just hard for people to go, certain banks, BNY Mellon, essentially getting bailed out, and then that money, or even if they weren't bailed out, instead of them paying their employees better, and then their employees can take that money and then donate it to whatever political campaign that they want, those corporations are keeping that money and then donating it to the politician that they decide.
Well, the argument would be what money who donates to the PAC? Most of the time, it's employees that donate to any PAC, no matter what company it is. And there's a differentiation